Hey, thank you for joining us for another Tuesday devotional. This is your part 3 in our Ezekiel study. And again, if you're just joining us for the first time, I really want to direct you back to parts 1 and 2, just because Ezekiel is a very complex and complicated book and just extremely difficult. The Old Testament books filled with prophecy are amazing. They're beautiful works of art, but they're very dense and very complex and very difficult to understand. And even in just in these 3 videos, you're not going to walk away being an expert on Ezekiel, but you're going to walk away with a taste and maybe a reason to keep digging in and reading it more. But they're tough to come on at any given moment, and so we've been working with an article written by Michael Lawrence, who has also written a commentary on the book of Ezekiel. It might be worth buying if this is something that really interests you. And so we kind of look at what his 2 previous points were about the book of Ezekiel, and now we're taking on his 3rd, which is Ezekiel helps with a very difficult question that a lot of us have to deal with, and that exactly is, I'm going to write this down with my finger, good luck here, and that is, where is God? Right? This is a very difficult question. If you look at your life, in the most trivial thing or the most difficult thing, it's impossible at times in your life to have not asked, like, where is God? To say something like, and so I hope that this book or this video gives you a little bit of encouragement or a little bit of perspective. Like, we all suffer, and I think suffering is a huge part of the human interaction with God and the struggle. Like, I think a lot of people are kind of thinking, essentially, why do bad things happen to good people? Where is God when so-and-so happened in my life? Where is God when this happened? And a lot of people walk away from the faith because of that. And that's a real question and a real struggle. And so this article kind of helps us say, Ezekiel helps us gain some perspective on that. So Ezekiel opens in chapter 1. And remember, so again, just in case you didn't see the first video or you forgot, that the Israelites are in exile. So they're living in a foreign country. They've been conquered, they've been taken over, and they're sitting there and they're like, where's God? And then God, I like to symbolize God here with like a symbol, God shows up. And they're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And he's like, hey, I'm with my people. Right? That's the whole message. The entire message of the book of Ezekiel is, where's God? And God saying, I'm with you guys. I'm with my people. And so the reading today that I want you guys to read is Ezekiel chapter 48. And again, I have to preface it. It will seem on paper, it will seem boring and dense until the very end, because it's all about planning and these coordinates for a city and how this city is going to be laid out. But it's, again, going off of video 2, it's God's plan. He has a plan, and he's with his people. And the reason why I want to pull out this last chapter, and why our article pulls out the last chapter, is the final verse where he says, and the circumference of the city shall be 18,000 cubits, and the name of the city from that time on shall be, the Lord is there. And that's amazing. So you go through the arc of Ezekiel, you start with these people, they're saying, where's God? God shows up and he says, I'm with you. And at the end, he gives this message for, hey, you're going to have this amazing city, and the name of this city is God is there. And so I'm not going to like sugarcoat anything. Like, life gets hard. I mean, gosh, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. We're almost on a year mark that we've missed a year out of our lives. And it's very easy to say, where in the world is God? And Ezekiel's encouragement, or Ezekiel would say to you, hey, this whole thing, God's here in all of this. God's here in all of this. When you're saying, where is God? God's here in all of this plan, and then God is with you. It's amazing. So again, we're going to find our Michael Lawrence article, and this, I want to read again what he says. One of the burning questions of Ezekiel is, where is God? And I like to read the last paragraph like we usually do, and he says, where is God when your world falls apart, when God's promises seem impossibly far off, when the enemy seems to have the upper hand and it feels as if God does not see and does not care? Ezekiel knew from bitter experiences the reality and pain of those questions. But we study him not because he could give voice to our questions. We study him because he gave voice to God's answer. That's amazing. Hope is found not in our circumstances, our feelings, or our efforts, but in the confidence that God is with his people. The confidence that God is with his people. That is an amazing, amazing thing. God is with us. God is with you. And so I want to end this book, this 3-part video series on the book of Ezekiel, with saying, like, hey, I think a lot of times we skip the prophetic books because, one, they're just crazy. They're hard to understand. The imagery is deep and rich. But in the other part, it's very easy to say, well, this has nothing to do with my life. This doesn't apply. This is a prophet. People don't talk like this, all this kind of stuff. And I understand that, but at the same time, I think that we're very far off in thinking that Old Testament books are not like our life, because life has not gotten any easier, and we still wonder, where is God in my suffering? Where is God in my life? And Ezekiel, again, he gives God's voice. He speaks the answer and says, God is with you. It's amazing. So yeah, go forth and have confidence in God's being with you in your life, and read Ezekiel chapter 48. And thank you for being in this study with us.